In this video we will try to learn the remainder theorem and factor theorem, right? So let us first look at the remainder theorem, right? So let's see what remainder theorem says. Let's say I have a polynomial fx. Okay, I have a given polynomial fx, and then I am going to divide that polynomial by x minus a type, okay, which we did during our synthetic division. So if I divide a polynomial by x minus a, then I can find the remainder. And if I express r as a symbol, so r will be function of a, right? So using that theory, r equals function of a, I can find remainder, right? So let us try to solve a problem. Let's say I have a function or polynomial which is 2x power 5 minus 4x cube plus 5x square minus 7x plus 2. All right, and I am going to divide this polynomial by x minus 1. Now if I divide this polynomial by x minus 1, so I need to find the remainder. All right, so that is our problem statement. So first of all, so if I divide x minus a type, so in this case my a is what? Equal to 1. So what is, according to the remainder theory, what is the remainder? The remainder r equals function of a. So in this case my a is 1, so I need to find function of 1. So let us see, 2 is 2, and instead of x I'm going to write 1 power 5 minus 4 and then x cube, so it is going to be 1 cube plus 5 is 5 and x square, it is going to be 1 square minus 7 multiplied by 1 plus 2. All right, so if you basically punch in calculator, you are going to find that remainder is minus 2. So the remainder is minus 2 for this particular problem. Now let's do some more problems. So first of all, I'm going to take you back to our synthetic division. I hope that you remember I have a function of x, okay, and I divided that function of x by x plus 3. So what I was doing previously, I have a function of x which is equals to x power 4 plus 5x plus 5x minus 3x square minus 63, and I was dividing it by what? I was dividing this polynomial by x plus 3, and we want to find the remainder for this particular problem. Now as you have seen before, x plus 3, if I write in x minus a type, which is what? X minus minus 3, so my a is what? Negative 3. So how I'm going to find the remainder r? Remainder r is function of negative 3. So let's do it. 2 is 2, instead of x I'm going to write negative 3 power 4 and then plus 5 is 5. Instead of x I'm going to write negative 3, then negative 3 is here as it is, and then instead of x square I'm going to write negative 3 square and then negative 6. All right, so if you punch your calculator, you are going to find that this is turns out to be 57. so my remainder is 57 according to the remainder theorem. Now if you notice what is the remainder I got after doing the synthetic division, exactly 57. All right, so that's how we can find remainder for any problem. Okay, so that is the remainder theorem. All right, so now we are going to look at factor theorem. Okay, so let's look at factor theorem. Factor theorem. So let's say I am dividing. So if, so what I'm doing, I am dividing function of x by x minus a. Okay, I am dividing function of this. So if I divide this and I found the remainder r is equal to 0. Okay, so I found the remainder r equal to 0. That means what? That means function of a equal to 0. All right, that's what I found. So if I found that, what happened is I am, so let me write down in this manner. So I have function of x, I am dividing it by x minus a, so I'm going to get what? A quotient. And what is my remainder? Remainder is 0, right? So what can I write? I can write my function of x equals what? Quotient multiplied by x minus a. So quotient multiplied by x minus a. So what I found is, if I divide, so if I divide function of x by x minus a and I found remainder is 0, that means function of a equal to 0, then what I found that x minus a is what? A factor of function of x. So a factor. Okay, another factor, other factor is quotient. So so that is called factor theorem. So so if I write down that theorem in a word format, so if I write down word format, a polynomial fx has x minus a as a factor if and only if r, which is remainder, equals function of a equal to 0. Okay, so this is the factor theorem. All right, so now let's do or solve a problem. Let's say I have a polynomial, a function which is x power 4 plus 3x cube minus 5x square plus 8x and plus 69. Okay, and I want to basically do what? I want to say that I want to divide it by x plus 3. Okay, so I want to divide it by x plus 3, or what? Or I want to find or find function of -3. Why -3? Remember, x plus 3 I can write x minus sorry, okay, so x minus 3. So in this case a is -3. all right. So let's find function of -3. So what is given? My given is function of x, which is x power 4 plus 3x cube minus 5x square plus 8x plus 69, and I want to find what? Function of -3. Okay, so let's find out function of -3. So how I am going to find function of -3? So function of -3 equals what? Instead of x cube, I'm going to write -3 cube plus 3 and -3 I'm sorry, this is not cube, this is going to be power 4, because remember this is power x power 4, so this is power 4, and this is cube minus 5 -3 square plus 8 multiplied by -3 plus 69. Okay, so if you punch calculator, you're going to find this is 0. So function of -3 equal to 0, that means what? R, so remainder R, which is function of -3 is what? 0. That means my remainder is 0. So if function of a equal to 0, so as you can see, if function of a equal to 0, what can I say? X minus a is a factor. So what can I say? I can say that x, so this is my a, so function of a equal to 0, and in this case my a is what? -3. So I can say what? X minus a is a factor. So what is x minus a? X minus a is -3, so which is what? X plus 3. So x plus 3 is a factor. Okay, so x plus 3 is a factor of this polynomial. All right, so x plus 3 is a factor. Actually we will learn in the next problem that that a equal to 3 is actually the x-intercept of this particular function, x-intercept or real 0. So this is what? So this is basically -3 is what? X-intercept or real zeros, real 0 of the function. Okay, so that is in the nutshell the factor theorem. Right, so let us solve another problem, so it will be clear for all of us. So let's say I have a polynomial function of x equals 3x cube plus 2x square minus 19x plus 6. All right, so I have a polynomial. All right, so what is given is, so given x equal to 2 is a real 0, of this polynomial function of x, real 0 or real 0 of this polynomial, and or what x equal to 2 is what? The x-intercept, which is x-intercept. So what is our problem statement? Problem statement is find all other real zeros, or solve 3x cube plus 2x square minus 19x plus 6 equal to 0. So solve this equation. Solving the equation, what does that means? That means find all the real 0. Okay, so the both statements are equivalent. So find all real zeros or x-intercept. Okay, so this is the problem statement. All right. Now as you have seen in the previous example, that if a is a x-intercept or real 0, if a is a x-intercept or real 0, then what can I say? X minus a is what? A factor of that problem. Okay, so in a nutshell, what can I say? I can say, as 2 is my real 0, so I can say x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, that I can say, but you know what, I am not going to conclude at this point. First of all, I'll try to prove it. Okay, so how to prove it? I'm going to prove that my remainder is what? 0. Okay, so how I'm going to prove my remainder is 0? I need to prove what? R equals what? Function of 2. Okay, so let's find function of 2. So 3 is 3, and then instead of x cube I'm going to write 2 cube, and then plus 2, so plus 2. Instead of x square I'm going to write 2 square, and negative 19, and instead of x I'm going to write 2 and plus 6. Okay, so if you basically work out all, punch the calculator, you are going to find that remainder is 0. So what I found, remainder equals function of 2 equal to 0. So if the remainder is 0, what can I say? I can say x minus that 2, that a, so that 2 is a factor, so x minus 2 is a factor of function of x. Okay, which we already saw. All right, so now I need to find all the other factors. So to do that, I need to do the synthetic division. All right, so for synthetic division, remember, so I need to perform synthetic division for my all other zeros. Okay, synthetic division. So for synthetic division, first of all, I need to basically write down this polynomial in descending order. Okay, so let's see, this is what? 3x cube plus 2x square minus 19x plus 6. So it's already in descending order. Then what is the next step? In the next step, I need to insert the missing term. Is there any missing term? I have x cube, and then x square, then x, then constant. So I do not have any missing term at all. So I am done with step number 2. So and then to set up the problem, what I am going to do, I'm going to write down only the coefficient. Okay, so I'm going to write down 3 as 3 here, and this coefficient is 2. I'm going to write down 2, and this coefficient is negative 19. I'm going to write down negative 19, and this coefficient is 6. All right, and then I'm going to make a box here, and here what I'm going to write, that a. So what is my a here? 2. Okay, so my a equals 2, and then I'm going to draw a horizontal line. All right, so let's look at the next step. Then what I am going to do, I am going to basically take down 3 downward as it is, and then I'm going to multiply 3 by that a, which is 2. So 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, and then I am going to add 2 plus 6 is what? 8. Okay, and then I am going to multiply 8 by that a, which is 2. So 8 multiplied by 2 is 16, and then if I add negative 19 plus 16, which is negative 3, and I am going to multiply negative 3 by 2, and it becomes negative 6. If I add this, it is become 0. So of course what I get, remainder is 0, which is expected. remainder is 0. Now what is going to be my quotient? All right, so first of all, for quotient, as you can see, what is the highest term of my polynomial? X cube. Okay, my highest term is what? X cube. So what will be the highest power of my quotient? 1 power below that one. So 1 power below x cube is what? X square, right? So it will be x square. Now what is the coefficient here? It is 3. What is the next coefficient? Positive 8. And then what is going to be the next power after x square? It is x. And then I have the constant negative 3. So this is actually my quotient. This is actually my quotient. Okay, so what I found, that I have a factor x minus 2, and another is what? Quotient, which is 3x square plus 8x minus 3. Now if you remember a little while ago when we were looking at the factor theorem, what we found, what I can if you see factor theorem, so what I can write, function of x is what? That quotient multiplied by that x minus a. Okay, so so what can I write my function now, guys? So for my particular function, so this is my particular function, function of x. So let me write down here. So let me use a little box in this location. So my function of x, which is equals 3x cube plus 2x square minus 19x plus 6. So I can write it down as what? Quotient. So what is my quotient, guys? If you see, my quotient is 3x square plus 8x minus 3. So 3x square plus 8x minus 3 multiplied by what? My other factor is what? X minus 2 is my other factor. So x minus 2. So this is what I found. Okay, now to find all the real zeros, as you can see, to find all the real zeros, what I do, I need to put function of x equal to 0. To find all the real zeros, I need to put what? Function of x equal to 0, or finding y-intercept. So this is going to be what? Equal to 0 if I want to find the y-intercept or my all the real zeros. So as you can see, so what can I write from this? So let me erase this portion. And I am going to simply write this is r. Okay, now let us try to solve here. So two mathematical expression in product form, and product is equal to 0. So what can I say? I can write x minus 2 equal to 0, and or I can write 3x square plus 8x, 3x square plus 8x minus 3 equal to 0. All right, so from here I can get x equal to 2. So this is one x intercept. So we already know x equal to 2. So this is going to be my one real zeros, and other one, this is what? A classical this is a classical quadratic equation. To solve this quadratic equation, I can use factoring, I can use quadratic formula. So in this case I'm going to use quadratic formula. So in this case, my a equals 3, b equals 8, and c equals negative 3. So what is going to be my x? My x is minus b plus minus square root b square minus 4ac over 2a. All right, so let's substitute all the values of a, b, and c. So minus, and then b, what is b? 8 plus minus square root b square, so 8 square minus 4, and what is my a is 3, and multiplied by c. What is my c is negative 3 over 2a, so 2 multiplied by a is 3. So if you simplify, you are going to find one x value is negative 3, and then you are going to find another x value is 1/3. Okay, so these are all my x intercept. So what is the other one? X equal to 2, so x equal to 2. So these are my intercept. Okay, so if I try to very roughly try to draw the graph, of course I will explain it in the later chapter. So my function of x, so what is my function of x? My function of x is 3x cube plus 2x square minus 19x plus 6. So what are my x intercept? So my intercepts are, one is what? Negative 3, another is what? 1/3, so this is 1/3, and what is the last one? X equal to 2, so this is my x equal to 2. So if I try to plot it, so let me use another color, so it will be something like that. Okay, okay, so as you can see, my three real zeros, one is x minus 3, one is at 1/3, and one is at 2. So if these are my real zeros, so if that is the real zero, then what will be my factor? So one factor is what? X minus 2, and what will be the other one from x equal to negative 3? This will be x minus 3, which is what? X plus 3 is the other factor, and this is what? X minus 1/3 is my other factor. So these are my three factor. So x minus 1/3, x plus 3, and x minus 2. So I can write this what? Function of x is x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 1/3. So these are basically my solution for this particular problem. So please review or watch this video over and over to understand it better. Okay, so let me give you basically a little problem for you guys, so that you can try to solve it at home by yourself. So I am giving you a function, new function, which is 3x cube minus 9x square minus 4x plus 12. Okay, and I am giving you that, so given x minus 3 is a factor, 3 is a factor. So what you do, find all zeros, or what? Or x intercept. Okay, so this is the problem statement. Okay guys, so let's see how I can approach it. Okay, so first of all, let's see, here I have what? X minus 3, so this is what? X minus a type. So in this case, my a is what? Equal to 3. Okay, so my a is equal to 3, so it is given that this a is 3 is a 0. Okay, so it is given that so now I want to find what all the other real zeros. So let's do. So first of all, let me see if this is a real zero or not. So how I am going to find? I'm going to find first of all the remainder. Remainder is what? Function of 3. Okay, so what is function of 3? So 3 is 3, and instead of x cube I'm going to write 3 cube minus 9, and instead of x square I'm going to write 3 square, and minus 4, and instead of x I'm going to write 3, and plus 12. So if you punch all the number, you're going to find it is 0. So so I found that remainder r, which is function of 3, equal to 0. So that means what can I say, x minus 3 is a factor. Minus 3 is a factor, which was already given, but in any case we basically proved it. All right, so what is our next target? Our next target is to basically do the synthetic division. So let's do the synthetic division to find out the other all the other zeros. Right, so first, to do the synthetic division, I need to write down my dividend in descending order. So I guess it is already in descending order, still I want to write it. So what it is, 3x cube minus 9x square minus 4x plus 12. All right, and then what is the next step? To insert the missing term. Now, is there any missing term? It is x cube, x square, x, and then constant. So I do not have any missing term. All right, so I am fine. So now I'm going to write down the coefficient. So what is my coefficient? It is 3 here, here it is negative 9, here it is negative 4, and here it is 12. Right, and then I'm going to draw the box, and here I'm going to write down my a. What is my a, guys? My a is here 3. All right, and I'm going to draw the horizontal line. So my problem is already set up. So now what is the next step? I'm going to take down 3 as it is. So this is 3. Then I'm going to multiply 3 by this 3, which is what, going to be equal to 9. Now if I add negative 9 with this positive 9, I get what, equal to 0. All right, and then I'm going to multiply 0 by my a, which is 3. So 0 multiplied by 3 is of course 0. All right, so then negative 4 plus 0 is what, negative 4. And then I'm going to multiply negative 4 by what, that a, which is 3. So that is going to be equal to negative 12. And so negative 12 positive 12 become 0. So my remainder is 0. Okay, so of course we know that. So now what is going to be my quotient? Okay, so that is the most important thing. All right, so first of all, what is the highest power of my problem? X cube. Okay, highest power is x cube. So what is going to be the highest power of my quotient? X square. So let me write down x square here. What is the coefficient? It is 3. What is the next term? Coefficient 0. So plus 0 multiplied by x, and what is the other one? Negative 4. So this is my quotient. So how I can write my function? So my function of x equals quotient. So quotient is what? 3x square plus 0x minus 4 multiplied by what? My factor x minus 3. and I want to find what? I want to find all the real zeros or x-intercept. So if I want to find all the real zeros or x-intercept, I need to equate function of x equal to 0. So 0 equals 3x square, and in this case I don't want to write 0x, so it is gone. So negative 4 multiplied by what? X minus 3. So what can I write? I can write x minus 3 equal 0 and or 3x square minus 4 equals 0. So here I got x equal to 3, which I already know. So this is my one x-intercept or 0. So here I can write 3x square equals 4. I can write x square equals 4 over 3. I can write x equals what? Plus minus square root 4 over 3. So what are my all the x-intercept? So all the x-intercept is what? X equals 3. One is what? Positive square root of 4 over 3, and the other is negative square root of 4 over 3. So these are my all real zeros or all the x-intercept. Okay, so this is the end of the problem, and that will be actually end of this section. So I hope you all understand. So see you in next